In the iPhone 16 series, for the first time ever, Apple has introduced a brand new button dedicated specifically for iPhone photography. That is the camera control button right here on the side of your iPhone. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how this button works, what you can do with it, and most importantly, how to integrate it into your iPhone photography workflow so you can capture the photos of your dreams. Let's begin. Now here in front of me, I have this incredible view. This river makes this amazing S-shaped turn as it reaches the sea. And I think that's going to be a fantastic photo opportunity. So what I'm going to do is pick up my iPhone and press the new camera control button. And as I press on this button, the camera app opens instantly. Now the great thing about the camera control is that it allows me to quickly launch the camera app from anywhere in the iPhone, or even if the screen is turned off. So I simply press on the button and the camera comes up. And you can see what a great view I have here in front of me. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is very simple. I'm going to go ahead and take a shot. So if I simply press on the camera control button, a photo is taken. And that's how you can use this button as the shutter of the iPhone. You could do the same thing with the volume up or volume down buttons on the other side of the iPhone if you choose to. This was always available in the previous iPhone models, but the camera control doesn't stop there. I want to make a nice video of the beautiful waves in the sea. So to show you those, I want to get a bit closer. So I'm going to start by tapping on the 5 icon on screen. And now you can see I'm much closer. But my hands are shaking a bit, which is typical in 5X. So what I'm going to do is sit down and I'm going to use this ledge as support for my hands. So now, if I tap and hold on the camera control button, as long as I'm holding it down, a video is being recorded. So I'm gonna just wait for a bit, record those beautiful sea waves. And now that I've been recording for some time, I'm gonna release my finger and the video stops. And that's how easy it is to record a video using the camera control. Now, another thing you should know about the camera control button is that there are 2 ways you can press it. There's the regular or the hard press, which is what we use to take a photo or record a video. And then there's something called a light press. So to do a light press, you simply press on the camera control button, but you do it very gently, just a very light press. So as I light press on the camera control, you'll see that this slider comes up, and here's what I can do. I can swipe my finger to one side, and you'll see that now I'm actually at a wider view, so I'm at 0.5x. I've literally zoomed out. Or I can swipe my finger to the other side on the camera control button, and I can start to zoom in. And you can see that as I zoom in, this composition is really starting to take shape. So one of the things you can do with camera control is adjust the zoom, just like I'm doing it right now. Now for this scene, I think the 2x works really fantastic. Look at that amazing composition. Now all I have is that beautiful S-shaped curve, so I'm going to make sure to grab that shot. And now, let me show you what else I can do. Watch what happens if I light press the camera control twice. 1, 2. Now, all these other options come up, and I can go through them one by one by swiping on the camera control. We were previously on zoom, and one thing you should know is that whatever option you had selected is what's going to come up next time. So if I light press again, I'm still in the zoom, because that was the last option I had selected. But if I tap twice, and if I now go to the next option, cameras, I can light press once to enter the next setting, which is the camera modes. So here, I can also change the zoom, but this time, all I see are those predetermined zoom levels. These are the zoom levels that are always going to give me the best quality, and that's what I actually recommend using more than the zoom functionality. So now that you know how this works, I'm just going to stick to 2x, which gives me the best composition here, and I'll double tap on the camera control again, and the next option I want to select is called Styles. Now, Styles is short for photographic styles, which is a feature that's been around for some time, but now in iPhone 16, they've really taken it to the next level. Now, I have another video covering photographic styles in more depth, But for now, it's enough for you to understand that these are filters that are applied non-destructively, meaning that you can apply these filters before you take a photo, or you can change or remove these filters after the photo is already taken. So once again, I'm going to do 2 light presses on the camera control. I'm going to light press once to select styles, and I can go left or right to cycle through all sorts of different styles or filters. You know, some are subtle, some are strong. You can choose whatever look you think is going to fit your image. Now, dramatic is one that I really like for this composition because it is a dramatic composition and it adds more contrast to this image. So it makes the beautiful S-curve, this fantastic composition, stand out even more. So I'm going to go ahead and capture a photo using dramatic. But let's see what else is there. If I go more to the right, you'll see that I get into these black and white options. And stark black and white, the last one, really gives me a dramatic look. I really like how this is turning out. So I'm going to go ahead and take another shot. One thing you should know about all these adjustments you do using the camera control is that they're going to stay there. So even if I close the camera app, and if I now open it again, you'll see that I'm still in black and white. And oh my God, this looks stunning at 1x view. I just have to take this image. And the last option I have here is called tone. So I'll tap once to open tone. And you'll see that here I have another slider. I can take it in the positive direction and the image becomes much brighter, or I can take it in the negative direction and the image becomes much, much darker. So what the tone slider does is effectively change how the image is composed. But it's not just a brightness slider, it's a bit more complex than that. So if I go in the negative direction, such as -1 where I am now, it's going to really take those shadows and make them darker to create this beautiful stark look with really high contrast. On the other hand, if I take the tone slider all the way to the right, look at what happens to midtones. So those are kind of the parts of the image that are not too dark or not too bright. They become brighter and brighter. So that way I get this really light and airy image that's not very high in contrast, but that can work really well for certain situations. Now, once again, I want to be a bit careful because whatever I change here, it's gonna stay. So I'm just gonna take tone back to 0 now. And I'm also gonna go into styles. And as much as I love the stark black and white, I'm gonna go back and take this all the way to standard, which is the default setting that we started with. Now there's 2 more options we haven't looked at yet. So to get there, I'm gonna swipe left, and all the way on the left, you'll see that we have exposure. So if I single tap there, you'll see that the EV or exposure slider has come up. This is essentially the same exposure slider that we already discussed in the exposure video. But this is another way you can access it perhaps more conveniently. So again, if I go to the left, the image becomes darker. And if I go to the right, the image becomes brighter. You might be thinking, how is this different from the tone slider that we just looked at? And exposure is actually a bit of a simpler adjustment. It just literally makes your image darker or brighter. It doesn't really change what it does to the shadows or the midtones. So here I'm just going to keep exposure at 0. And finally, the last option that we haven't yet talked about is called depth with the F icon. And this is essentially a way you can force the iPhone into portrait mode using the camera control. And to show you exactly what that looks like, I'm going to move just a little bit over there. I'm going to be using this old wooden log as my subject and still the same beautiful river scene in the background. And this time I'm going to be holding my iPhone vertically. Now, this does present certain challenges because the camera control is not as easy to access if you're holding it vertically. I can still press it, but honestly it's not going to be the most convenient way to press the shutter. It's much easier to just use your thumb to press the shutter on the screen. However, the options that the camera control gives me are still very useful. So if I do a light tap on the camera control, now you'll see that the depth slider has come up. But here's the interesting thing. I can adjust the slider using the camera control button, the physical button on the side of the phone, or I can also interact with all of these elements on the screen. So I can literally use my thumb and drag it across the screen to change the F value of the depth slider. Something like f3.2 should work just fine. At the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there's this yellow letter F, which means that the depth has been activated. And now if I take a shot, you'll see that the iPhone has in fact blurred out the foreground a little bit. But what if I want to change this? What if I don't want the foreground to be blurred, the background? Well, in that case, I'm going to have to tap my finger on the wooden log, and now you'll see that the focus has shifted on the log in the foreground and the river in the background has been blurred out. So I can take a photo, but there's just a bit of a problem, and that problem is exposure. So if you look at the sky, you'll see that it's very bright. So there's kind of this white area around the sun that's completely overexposed, and I don't want that. And the easiest way to fix that is using the exposure sliders. So once again, I'm going to tap on the camera control on the side of the phone, and this time I'll tap on f3.2. And now you'll see that all these options have come up. So I can use my thumb to select exposure on screen. So let's see if minus 0.7 is going to give me the kind of exposure I need. And once again, the depth function is still activated, as you can see by that yellow F at the bottom left of the screen. And now the exposure is darker. So once again, I'll tap on the log and take a shot. And this time, if you take a look at the resulting picture, you'll see I got exactly what I wanted. So the image itself is not blown out anymore. I don't have these large white areas in the sky, and the log in the foreground is sharp, while the river in the background is blurred. And that's the kind of thing I can now do thanks to the depth option of the camera control. Now, as always with camera control, you've got to be careful because whatever you selected stays enabled. So first, I want to disable the depth adjustment. So I'm going to tap on that yellow F at the bottom left of the screen, and I'm also going to do a light tap on the camera control, which opens up the exposure slider once again, and here I'll leave it at 0. So there you have it, the new camera control button of the iPhone 16. Now the big question is how useful this new button actually is, and whether you as a photographer should be using it. And as much as I love this new button, and I'm very thankful to Apple for how much work they've put into it, there are some pros and cons to using it. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that if you're shooting like this, and if you're pressing a physical button on the side of the phone, it is going to shake the phone a little bit when you take an image. So if you're shooting in the low light, and if your goal is to get the sharpest image possible, this could actually be a problem, because that camera shake could result in a slightly blurry image. There's no denying that it's probably the fastest and easiest way to open the camera app, and that's fantastic. But when it comes to adjusting things like exposure or changing any other settings, there are already buttons on the screen where you can do all of this. And if you're an experienced iPhone photographer like me, you've been shooting with the iPhone for some time already, and you know where to find everything. And learning a new button might not necessarily be easier or faster. So at the end of the day, this comes down to personal preference. Some users might find the camera control extremely useful, especially those who shoot in landscape orientation. But if you mostly shoot in portrait orientation for social media, then perhaps this function isn't really that useful to you. Now, as we've been talking about the camera control button, that sun keeps going lower and lower, and the incredible view I have in front of me is just getting better. So I'd like to end this video by taking one more photo, and look at that. That looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm gonna carefully frame the shot and press the shutter. What a wonderful evening this has been. It's been a pleasure to share it with you in this incredible location. This video was a free preview of my iPhone Photo Academy online course. In this course, you'll discover everything you need to know to take stunning photos with your iPhone. So if you'd like to take the kind of photos that will leave your friends and family speechless, please take a look at the full version of iPhone Photo Academy. You'll find a link in the description right next to this video. So click on that link right now, and I'll see you inside the full version of the course.